Hello.
How's it going?
Great.
There you go. There's 5 more that are supposed to log in, so we'll give them about 2 or 3 minutes. Oops, sorry, forgot to start my video. You don't want to look at a picture of me all day. No Jordan yet, right? Micah? Nope. Alma, Jordan yet? Emily? Not yet, so we got 3 we're missing. All right. If they come in, we'll get them catched up to where we're at. It shouldn't be that difficult, but good Wednesday to you. 4 things I want to go over with you today. First will be the review of Edmentum, which is the biggest thing that we did last week in terms of being able to access that. Second thing I want to talk to you about is the district bought access to an online textbook, an online notebook. And so I'll get you signed up for that. It's very easy, but it's a resource that you can have and you can check anytime, even outside of class. And then we're going to talk about 2 different things basically with the start of our curriculum: opportunity costs and this idea of scarcity, along with factors of production and economic systems. So those will be the 4 things that we cover today, and make sure that you get set up in Canvas. So go ahead and open your Canvas tab for this class. And I'll record the roll real quick. All right, so quickly we'll go right from where we left off last week. A couple of things that have changed with the assignments. Remember on Monday we had the individual assignments logins due. The due date now is August 28th. It was originally August 24th, but there was a technical issue with the district server that wasn't anybody's fault. And so there are like 5 or 6 people that didn't have a chance to log in. So that assignment that was supposed to be due Monday at 3:15 has now been pushed back to Friday at 3:15, just so you have enough time to get that in if you were one of the ones that ran into issues. Additionally, every Friday, I will make sure that I have updated your grades. So if you looked in Aries or Canvas, you'll see that grades were uploaded for the first 2 assignments. The only one assignment would be the first thing that we did in terms of Canvas and your school email, where you're supposed to answer both of those questions. That's the only grade that's finalized. Other grades have been inputted, but since the due date has not occurred yet, it's not a finalized grade. But you can check Canvas or Aries for that. They are synced, so they should show the same grade at the same time, no matter what you have. So a couple of things that I want to go over. Remember that your upcoming or to-do list you have here. And then I wanted to emphasize to all of you, because there's been a couple of questions about this, the way that I have set up everything is in modules. And so what will happen is within a module will be that entire week's work, notes, resources, anything that you need to use. So week 1, right, overview and to-do list. Week 2, scarcity and opportunity costs. You can see everything that's going to be required during week 2. And you can just scroll right through each one and click next as you get each task done. So today, as I said, we'll talk about scarcity and opportunity cost. We're going to talk about factors of reduction, economic systems, get you set up on the digital textbook and notebook option from the district. And then when you finish a task or complete a task, just go to next. When you go to next, it'll bring up the next one and you can run through the entire module. But that is how things are going to be organized for you. So you can find it in one location. You don't have to look in a number of different locations throughout. Anybody have any questions on that so far? Okay, so quickly we'll review what we did with Edmentum last week. This is just going to be a location where we can have some activities. When you click on the Edmentum icon from the home page, it should bring you something similar here. Remember that you click on this. You can also go to the school's website and you can click on it from here as well. So it doesn't matter, it takes you to the same spot. Once you're there, this was your individual login assignment. And as I said, that date has been pushed back until Friday, 2 days from now, for the assignment and due date. So you can still submit that if you haven't. One of your classes should be, right, this economics class, period 2. And then within that, we looked at the Plato orientation. The Plato orientation, to make sure that you could access that and get into Plato, I had you upload a screenshot or a file. So video shows what's in a course, how to get started, how to stay on track in video 1. Video 2 covers a typical lesson, what you'll do in a lesson, how to get the most out of it. And then video 3 is how to stay on task, understand and complete your work. And then there's a course guide from there. Remember that there's a save icon or a download button in the upper right. And so then what I had you do was to download that in a specific location consistently. I'm going to choose downloads to do that. That's going to hit and save in that location. And then, as I said, because I pushed back the due date, if you go to modules, assignments, you go over here to your Location, that was the last thing that you had to do for week 1. It's still open, so you can click on that. Click on the submit button. Let me get to student view. Once you click the submit button, you can go down to choose file, click on the assignment, and then submit that, and you would be done. All right, you would be done. So that's what we did week 1. That's what we did in terms of the assignment. Anybody have any questions on that portion? Okay, so looking at week 1, as I said, we're going to cover scarcity and opportunity cost. We are going to look at the idea of factors of production and economic systems and introduce that. First thing I want to do, though, is get you to your digital textbook and your digital notebook. So if you go in the module to the next location, it's a program called TCI, and this will have your econ textbook and digital notebook. As before with Edmentum and any of these other things, we're going to go through the entire process, and then we come back and do it step by step together. I'll be able to tell you where you're at. In this TCI presentation, if you click on this link, it will bring you to where you need to create your account. You're going to get a box that looks like this. In that box, you're going to put my teacher email address. You're going to put your last name, your first name, your school email address complete as the username, and then I would use the same password. You're going to click create class, or create account, excuse me, and then you're going to choose your class. Now, when you choose your class, you should have all 5 of these options: 1, 2, 3, period 4, period 6. Those are the periods that I have. So this box is going to be a little bit bigger. It'll say economics period 1, economics period 2, economics period 3. You would obviously select period 2. So from your Canvas page in this TCI presentation, if you click on this, and I will send you my teacher email address in the chat room. It's going to be jgrock.smjuhsd.org. You're going to put your last name, your first name, and then I would use the same password. So in the chat, I sent you my email address. You can copy and paste that if you want. So I said you're going to use your complete student email address. I would use your same email password here and then click create account. Once you click create account, then you're going to get the page that's going to ask you to choose which class period. It's going to look like that. All right, and I will check as you create your account in TCI to check and make sure that it's right, but that's going to be a location for your digital textbook and notebook. And you could jump in the chat room or on your audio if you have any questions. Jose, you've already created yours. You look good. Bryce, yours looks correct.
Great question.
Yes.
What can we put as our username? Just our full name.
No, username is the school email address.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Yeah. You under username is going to be your full school email address. Above that, it's going to ask for your first name and last name. Damien, yours looks right. Melinda, yours looks right. Okay, Micah, yours looks right. Damien, yours looks right. Aubrey, yours looks right. Liliana, yours looks right. Christian looks right. Gwen looks right. Aiden looks right. Dominic looks right. Let's see how many more we've got left. Luke, yours looks right. Micah, Melinda, Damien, Aubrey, Liliana, Christian, Gwen, Aiden is right. Jose's right. Bryce is right. Dominic's right. Perfect. That's everybody. We can move on. So just real quick, let me just show you this, and we'll talk about it when it's more important. But basically, this is just going to be an online textbook and notebook for you, available to you. So if you wanted to read about some of the things that we talk about in class, it's available to you. If you click on text, your view is a little bit different than mine, but if you click on text, it'll talk about scarcity, opportunity costs, things that we have discussed, all right? And so that's available to you if you want that. Any questions before we move on? Okay, perfect. So scarcity and opportunity cost we're going to talk about. As I said, when you look at your modules, right? So we just completed this. When you complete something, just go to next. All of the notes, things that we're going to talk about in class will be put up into Canvas, as well as probably Go Formative if it's something that's a little bit longer. I'm going to bring these up in a different box here, but basically all of these are here for you to go back over and look at. So as I said, we're going to take a look at scarcity and opportunity costs today, as well as factors of production and economic systems we'll introduce. But quite simply, economics is a study of how people use the limited resources they have to satisfy their wants. So if we took a look at, say, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, some of the richest people in America, at any one moment, even though they probably have much more money than anybody else, we could still quantify exactly how much they have. And it would be at that limit, right? It would be at that limit and at that point where if they wanted something that was $1 more, they would have to make a choice. So an economist is a person who studies these choices that people make, right? Related to energy, what happens when we have inflation, what choices do people make? Interest rates are down right now, encouraging people to buy homes, refinance homes. That's why you still see, even during this pandemic, housing starts are up. The real estate market as well. Are we importing in a bunch of medical equipment? Are we exporting it out? What's going on with healthcare? Healthcare in the stock market. One of the things that you'll find in this country, and it differs upon every country, is that we have two types of domains. We have a public domain and we have a private domain. Now, in a public domain, goods and services are provided not with the goal of making a profit, but because it's what is seen as best for society. So those of you that came to class today, you are part of the public domain, right? Rigetti High School is a public high school. You're part of the public domain. St. Joseph across the street is a private high school, a private entity. They need to make a profit to continue to survive. Any business, right? Go down to Little Caesars, go down to the donut shop, right? Those are businesses that are providing goods and services for a profit. If they don't make a profit, they're probably not going to stay in business. So you want to understand the difference between private and public in this country generally revolves around money. Private domain, private sector is in it for money. The public domain or the public sector is generally to provide for society. Our society a long time ago decided that a compulsory education with its basis in liberal arts education was best to have an informed society. So, as I talked about you coming to school today, right? This illustrates the idea of scarcity, that we have limited resources for unlimited wants. You make decisions about money and time in order to have what we want, right? You'll make and decide on things that you want over something that you may not want. Those of you that came to school in the Zoom class today, right, you chose an education. You could have chose to sleep in. You could have chose to gone to the beach, right, for relaxation, enjoyment. You could have chose to go to work, make money, but you chose this. So when we talk about scarcity and opportunity costs, you can't be in more than one place at one time. So time is a resource. How you spent your time this morning, you chose it on an education. You gave up your opportunity cost was work, money, or relaxation. So what I want you to do in a couple of different groups, and I think we'll go 4 with the amount of people that we have, is I want you to come up with a list of three items that you have purchased or would purchase recently. So any school appropriate item that you've purchased recently or that you would purchase if you had the money. And then I want you to think about the cost of that. There's probably going to be about 3 of you to the room. So 3 items, each of you come up with one and share. We'll give you about 3 minutes. Make sure you click on join and accept the breakout room. Okay, you should be about finished. Rooms will be closing up. All right. Gwen, give me one item from your group.
One item from our group.
Yeah, any one of the 3 that you guys talked about.
Oh, we talked about new phones.
Okay, perfect. What's a new phone going to cost?
We didn't talk about that.
Just roughly. You don't have to know exactly.
Maybe like 136.
Okay. So let's say with tax 150. Is that all right? All right. So a new phone. Bryce, what about your group?
We talked about gas.
Oh, there you go. Gasoline.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Anybody here? Here's how old I am. You guys ready for this? We take 30
Yes.
seconds for this. You'll laugh. Okay. My senior year in high school, same age you guys are now. Gas was how much a gallon? On average in the United States. Anybody got a guess?
$1.30.
Okay, anybody else want to guess?
19 cents?
Did you say 19 cents? Oh, that's messed up. No, you have to go higher than that. Anybody else want to guess between 19 cents and $1.30?
70 cents?
How much?
70 cents?
Higher.
80.
Higher.
90.
Lower.
85.
Pretty close. 88.9 cents a gallon. My senior year in high school. Minimum wage. My first job. How much do you think I made?
Like $5?
Lower.
3.
Lower.
2?
$2.85 an hour. $2.85 an hour. So there you go. All right, gas. Gas is what right now, Bryce? $3.49 a gallon. How much is it?
Yeah,
Like
it just
$3.
depends on different places. Yeah,
Okay, different places.
I've seen between like $2.99 and like $3.40,
No,
just
there
stuff
you
like
go.
that.
All right, Melinda, give me one thing from your group.
A new computer.
Awesome. Okay, and then how much do you think that would cost?
I'm not sure.
That's all right. Take a guess. What did you guys guess it would cost?
We didn't talk about the cost.
Okay, so maybe 300. Is that all right with everybody? So a couple of things. Thanks for sharing. So new phone, maybe $150. Gallon of gas, depending on how much you buy and where you buy it from, $3.49 a gallon. And then maybe a new computer, tablet, what have you, maybe $300. And so why I had you do that is when you look at something, right, and doesn't matter which of the items that you guys talked about that you would buy or purchase, is there's always a cost to that. So depending on your circumstance, depending on the person, they're going to have different means and abilities and monies to purchase things. And just as with different items, we can put decisions into tables and we put them into graphs, right, to create a picture instead of just words. So let's say instead of a new phone, a computer, or a gallon of gas, we were going to decide between buying a movie ticket or buying a book. And let's just say, for argument's sakes, books are $10, or excuse me, movie tickets are $10 per person, or you can buy a book for $5 a book. And if we base all of that, right, on $30 in your wallet or $30 in your purse, you could buy 3 movie tickets with all $30 and have nothing left. You could buy 6 books at $5 a piece. Total cost would be $30. That would be all of your income. You could buy a mixture of movies, right, and books, and have some left over, maybe none left over, depending on what you did. On the list that Melinda and Gwen and Bryce shared, right, computer probably the most expensive, new phone next expensive, and then maybe $20 of gas is going to run you about $67, $68 a tank right now, depending on your vehicle, the size, how much you buy, etc. So we could do the same thing here, right? We could talk about, hey, if we spend all $300 we have on a computer, we've got nothing left for a phone or gas. If we spend money on a phone, right, we could save some for the computer and buy some gas. So we can illustrate that in either a table or a graph. And all this is saying is that, hey, if books are $5 a piece, movie tickets are $10 a piece. If I buy 3 movie tickets, I have no money left over. If I buy 6 books, I have no money left over. But I could buy a combination of books and a movie ticket, combination of 2 books and 2 movie tickets, right? And maybe spread out enjoyment. And so that is what scarcity and opportunity cost is. It's going to help us or force us to make decisions about what we're doing, right? To make decisions about what we're doing. Does that make sense? Okay, and so let me show you the next thing here. All right, so as I said, if you click through and just click next, I'm going to show you a short 4-minute clip. You can turn up your audio, you should be able to hear it all right. And it's basically going to talk about scarcity, opportunity cost, what goes into making goods and services, and then that'll lead us into the last thing that we need to talk about.
All of economics is based on this notion of scarcity of resources. What does scarcity mean? Well, in everyday context, it means that there's not as much of something, say a resource, as people may need, or there's not an unlimited amount of something. So not unlimited amount of a resource or resources. Resource or resources. And the common examples, especially in an academic economics class, when people are talking about scarcity, the resources they're talking about, they'll often say land. And when by saying land, they're speaking generally of natural resources. And so examples of this would be things like energy. It could even be things like water. It could be lumber. It could be minerals, maybe some type of metal. Obviously, it could be land itself. And you could see some of that depicted in a picture like this. Clearly, there is land here, and you could even argue maybe even the solar energy that it has access to, that these would all be broadly put into this category. Another type of natural resource that is often talked about in an economics class will be labor. And labor we associate with people working, and that is what labor is making reference to. It's all about work effort. When we talk about work effort, we could talk about the workers and how much they are working. So hours of labor. Hours of labor. And this picture right over here is a clear picture of some workers. Now, another resource that we will often talk about in the context of scarcity is capital. And capital can be a little bit confusing at first. Well, it's things that people make in order to make other things. So things made to make other things. And so just to hit the point home here, pause this video. In these pictures, what capital do you actually see? Well, there's actually a bunch of capital in these pictures. There's some of the obvious things like these tools. This would be a clear example of capital. Even these buildings are used to maybe store animals or crops. So these are things that someone made in order to help make other things. And some of maybe the less obvious things, even you might not even notice it at first, but there's these power lines here. This is, someone made this in order to help us distribute energy, which could be used to make other things. So that too could be used, that could be an example of capital. Now, the fourth resource that you will hear folks talk about is really thinking about, well, how do we know how to combine these first three types of resources? And we could call that entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship. Sometimes people will refer to technology, but this is all how to combine all of the above right over here. 1 through 3, these types of resources right over here. Someone had to decide that, hey, these were good places to put these storage houses. Someone had to decide where to put the power lines. Someone just had to decide what crops to plant here and how to plant them. Someone had to decide, well, what type of labor do we need? What type of land? What type of capital, the actual factory building, the factory equipment, do we need in order to produce whatever these folks are producing right here? And that general notion you can talk about is entrepreneurship. And so the big picture here is think about the world around you. There's not an unlimited amount of land, especially if you're thinking about land for a specific purpose. There's not an unlimited amount of natural resources, energy, lumber, some type of metal. There's not an unlimited amount of labor. There's only so many people who exist. And there's not an unlimited amount of capital. We don't have an infinite number of buildings or equipment. And we don't have an infinite amount of entrepreneurship. We can only have so much energy to think about how do we put these other things together. So I will leave you there. And as we go further in our quest in economics, we're going to see the scarcity of these four resources show up over and over again.
Right, so a couple of things to think about with that. And it's just as we had said, when you have limited resources, and even if you are the richest person in the world, you're probably going to have limited resources. You're going to have to make decisions, right? You have to make decisions. So if we go back to, let me go right to here, right? If we go back to this idea of scarcity, right? Everybody, even if you're extremely rich, right, has some limit. There is a limit to how much money they have at one time. You have to decide how to use that. And so scarcity is the most important economic problem that we have, because we have scarcity in everything. Everything is scarce, no matter how much there is. So oxygen is scarce. Sunlight is scarce because there's a limit, right, to how much we could use or expect to see. It's the same thing, right? If you're going to talk about prom, homecoming, winter formal, you need to decide, are we going to buy or rent a dress? We're going to buy or rent a tuxedo. Where are we going to go to dinner? We're going to carpool together. We're going to all go in on a limo. Just a couple of us going on a limo, right? Decisions need to be made. And this is sort of what we need to think about through the entire year. So this idea of scarcity and opportunity cost is going to lead decisions to be made, right? Leave decisions to be made based on what happens. And so what he talked about very quickly in the video is this idea that people, the government, countries, areas, generally need to decide on how they're going to allocate those resources. And the resources to produce goods and services are called factors of production. You've got four categories there. And you talked about them: land, labor, capital. Capital can be either human or machine. And then entrepreneurship, which is the business knowledge side of that. So as we move into next week, we're going to talk about the difference between macroeconomics and microeconomics. Macro is economics on an entire scale, say the county of Santa Barbara, the state of California, the United States of America, maybe the European Union, right? We're talking about whole economies. Microeconomics are individuals, individual industries, maybe based on one product, one business, and is very narrow in a sense, right? It's part of a bigger piece of a pie, if you would. So one of the things that he talked about were these three basic economic questions. What's going to be produced with the limited resources we have, right? So in Japan, for example, they don't have a lot of farmland available. So what are we going to produce? Because we don't have a lot of farmland available, what are we going to produce that we could use to buy food from other countries, for example? In the Middle East, right, the weather and the climate and the terrain, same thing, doesn't lead to a lot of food production. So they have oil in which they can export out and then import in other resources to provide food. How will the goods and services be produced? And then for whom will the goods and services be produced? Now those decisions there are generally made by a government, right? Generally made by a government. And so how a society answers the questions of what and how and for whom is going to be what's called an economic system. These are generally answered by a government. And so we have a couple of different economic systems. Get to the right screen. And we'll look at this more in depth next week, but we've got a traditional system, which is generally based on social customs or norms. We've got a market economy or a market system based on free individuals or individuals making the decisions. A command economy is the government makes all the decisions of what, how, and for whom. Or we have a mixed economy in which the government and individuals have the ability to make decisions, all right? And that's what we'll take a look at next week. So what you're going to do, and let me get that set up, is there are going to be 2 assignments. One you should be able to finish with the remaining time that we have in class. The other one will be due next week. If we go to your module, your week 2 module, as I said, everything's in order. Right. You're going to have 2 assignments here. Those 2 assignments are going to be in Edmentum. If you're logged into Edmentum, you should be able to click on this and it'll open. If not, you'll log into Edmentum. But you are going to go to Unit 1. With the remaining time in class today, you're going to do and complete the scarcity and opportunity cost portion. And then by next Monday, you'll complete the economic systems. So if you go to the class, click all activities or click new activity, you're not going to do the introduction to economics. We basically just covered that in the Zoom. It would be a waste of your time. So don't do this. You're going to do this with the remaining time that we have for this class period. And then this part will be your homework for the week. So this will be labeled classwork in Aries. This will be labeled homework in Aries. And then they're very simple activities. There's a tutorial that goes with everything. That goes over all of the answers with you basically. You see that you can run through that. Then when you're ready and finish that, you can take the assessment. And they're very simple questions, right? Nick has been hired as the marketing director of a sporting goods manufacturing company. Classifies new job incentives as monetary or non-monetary, right? And you're just going to, monetary deals with money. Non-monetary would be benefits that are non-money. So you just drag those over there and click next, right? So that's what you're going to be doing there just as that. I will stay on in case you have any questions, but that is through Edmentum. And you'll want to do the scarcity opportunity cost with the remaining time that you have until 11:30 today. And then the other part would be homework. So if you've got any questions, you can stay on, or need any help, you can stay on, or you can send them in the chat. Otherwise, we'll see you next Wednesday.
What are the 2 that we have to do right now for during class?
Well, the scarcity and opportunity cost is one. It's two
The
different
tutorial.
things, but it's one, yeah. And then
The tutorial one, right?
economic systems is before class next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so that's classwork's due today, and then homework.
Yeah, classwork you'll want to finish today. You actually have until, I think it's open till the 31st, but you want to use the time today to just finish it so you don't have to worry about it.
Okay. Can we leave?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Have a good day.
Yeah, take care. Good seeing you.
The Edmentum looks different on my screen. I'm trying to get to it.
Okay, I'll make you a co-host here in a second. I'm going to ask you to start video and then share your screen with me and I can see what's going on.
How do I share the screen?
So down at the bottom of your Zoom window, if you click on share screen, it should be a green up arrow. I can see what's going on. Awesome. Oh, okay. So scroll down a little bit underneath Unit 1 Introduction. Click on Show to the right for Unit 1 Introduction to Economics.
This one?
Yeah, that one. And then, so you're going to do the scarcity and opportunity cost and the economic systems. Yeah,
Thank you.
those are it. And so the first one is the tutorial to give you all the answers, and then the second one's the assessment.
Awesome.
Yep, that's how it works. That make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Sure.
Are we ever gonna learn about you know how in like businesses they had to put in the daily input of like the amount they make? Do we learn about that here too?
About debits and credits?
Yeah, like for businesses.
Yes, in general. It won't be as thorough as say an accounting class would be, but yes, we'll talk about profit, total revenue, and how to calculate that.
Because I recently started training on that, and it's like kind of weird.
Yeah, it is kind of weird.
I just have one more question. I don't know how to get to the screen where like I'm on the E1. I forgot what it's called, Edmentum or something like that. But I don't know how to get to the courses.
Okay, so here I'm gonna make you co-host, and so if you go down to the bottom, same thing. If you go down to the bottom of the Zoom box and click on that green button, I can probably walk you through it.
Okay, let me go back to the.
Okay.
Are you able to see my screen, or are you seeing yourself?
I am. Yes, I can see your screen. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so click on scarcity and opportunity cost.
Okay.
Okay, and then scroll down a little bit and click on that box that says low scarcity and opportunity cost in a new window. There
And
you go. Yep. So that's the tutorial, and you would go through all of that, and then right below would be the assessment that you'll do for points.
Okay, that's just a like short video. I already watched that. I was just making sure.
Yeah. Yep. And then
Okay,
that would be it.
And then that's it besides the homework, right?
Yes, ma'am. You're right.
Okay, then. Thank you so much.
Hey, you're welcome. It was good seeing you.
You as well.
We'll see you next week.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
You bet. Bye-bye.